Israel and the US continue to target Iran's top leadership. Iranian National Security Chief Ali Larijani, described as the de facto leader of the Islamic Republic, is assassinated in a precision strike on Tehran. Iran's foreign minister says the killing will not destabilize the country, just like the assassination of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei did not. In a shock development and a major embarrassment for Donald Trump, the US counter-terrorism chief Joe Kent resigns in protest against the Iran war. He slams the war as misguided, says the US acted under pressure from the powerful Israeli lobby. Trump calls Kent weak. The US drops 5,000-pound bunker buster bombs near the Strait of Hormuz as Iran refuses to reopen the strategically critical waterway. Trump fumes as NATO allies reject his demand that they help the US reopen the strait. Russia slams the United States and Israel over the Iran war, calls it a spiral of violence. The Russian Foreign Ministry describes the strikes on Iran as unprovoked. The US Department of Homeland Security offers $2,600 in free flights as incentives for illegal immigrants to leave the country voluntarily. In an offensive move, the department places an ad featuring the Taj Mahal in India, hinting at Indian immigrants. Donald Trump backs Project Homecoming amid a major backlash. In a surreal spectacle, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un wins the so-called parliamentary election by 99.93% of the votes. The internet is flooded with jokes and memes about the remaining 0.07% who apparently did not vote for the regime. In a major setback to the Grand Old Party ahead of the Assam elections, Congress MP Pradyut Bordoloi and State Party Vice President Navajyoti Talukdar joined the BJP. In a hugely controversial move, the Badrinath Kedarnath Temple Committee says non-Hindus like actor Sara Ali Khan who wish to visit the temples will now have to furnish affidavits proclaiming their faith in Sanatan Dharma. Hello and welcome to the Times of India. You're watching Headlines at 8 with me, Neha Khanna. Our top story. Israel and the United States continue to target Iran's top leadership in the third week of the war. Now, the country's national security chief, Ali Larijani, has been assassinated in an Israeli airstrike. 67-year-old Larijani, a veteran politician who helped lead Iran's wartime efforts, was considered to be the senior-most figure in the Iranian regime after Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was eliminated at the start of the war. Ali Larijani was killed alongside his son, according to a statement released by Iran's Supreme National Security Council. Israel had earlier said it had killed Larijani, calling him Iran's de facto leader. Larijani had been a mainstay of conservative politics in the Islamic Republic for decades, known for his shrewd pragmatism and ability to build alliances between the hardline and moderate factions. The loss of Iran's top security official, an integral part of its current leadership structure, further depletes the Islamic Republic's reserve of highly experienced senior figures who can be entrusted to keep the regime functioning. As Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, Larijani was at the center of Iran's strategic decision-making apparatus. Experts say Larijani had long been the bridge builder between the military and political establishment. He had been at the forefront of recent negotiations aimed at finding a political breakthrough with Washington. And that has led critics to argue that Israel is sabotaging every effort being made to end this war. And part of its larger strategy is to eliminate anyone who may be capable of delivering a peace deal. Larijani was widely thought to have been opposed to the appointment of Mujtaba Khamenei to succeed his slain father as supreme leader on the grounds that hereditary rule is inconsistent with the principles of the Islamic Republic. The US had sanctioned Larijani in January this year and accused him of deploying Iran's security forces to violently crack down on protesters during the anti-government uprising. He was also among the names mentioned in a US State Department notice that offered a $10 million reward for information about the whereabouts of Iran's leaders after the outbreak of the war. Ali Larijani was close to the elder Khamenei, who appointed him to head Iran's state television and radio and serve as his representative on a political council that resolves legislative disputes. He used his influence there to stifle and censor criticism and dissent. After Iran's nuclear program became a major concern in the West, Larijani took on the top national security post in 2005, making him the country's lead nuclear negotiator. Meanwhile, Iran has sent out a strong message to the United States and Israel following Larijani's killing. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said his country will continue fighting the US and Israel despite the loss of Larijani. In fact, Araghchi has said, and I quote, "The presence or absence of a single individual does not affect Iran's political and economic structure." To support his argument, Araghchi also referred to the death of the former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, saying even the Supreme Leader was martyred, yet the system continued its work. Araghchi has held the US responsible for the conflict in the Middle East, saying Washington must be held accountable for the human and economic losses.
Iran launched a massive assault on Israel following the killing of Iranian National Security Advisor Ali Larijani. According to Israeli media, Iran launched 2 more waves of ballistic missiles. The missiles' impacts were observed in Tel Aviv's Holon area. Iran also reportedly carried out a ballistic missile attack on central and southern Israel. Video footage showed the missile was carrying a cluster bomb warhead. Israel's National Medical Emergency Service, Magen David Adom, said there were no casualties after the Iranian ballistic missile attack. Earlier, at least 2 people were killed in Ramat Gan, a district east of Israeli capital Tel Aviv. Iran launched strikes toward Israel and neighboring Gulf countries early Wednesday, with explosions heard in the United Arab Emirates and Qatar, and interceptions reported in Saudi Arabia. The Iranian strike took place after Tehran confirmed the killing of Ali Larijani, Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council. Iran launched intense air attacks on the Israeli heartland following the killing of its security chief, Ali Larijani. Tehran fired cluster missiles towards Israel, leading to widespread damage due to missile impacts. Tel Aviv railway station was heavily damaged after Iran rained down bomblets of death on Israel early on March 18. The Tel Aviv Savidor Center railway station, one of Israel's busiest rail hubs, was left damaged, scorched, and partially shut down. Online footage showed extensive damage to the platform and trains. It shows twisted metal, shattered platforms, and trains hit by falling debris. Israel Railways said that train traffic has been temporarily halted nationwide, shuttle services are operating between Herzliya, Tel Aviv Salvador Central, and Ben Gurion airport stations. Authorities say no injuries reported, but the scale of disruption is massive. Railway crews are working to restore traffic to normal. This marks the second strike on civilian infrastructure in just 24 hours. On March 17, missiles hit a train station and several buses in Holon, south of Tel Aviv. Iranian missiles made impacts at 3 separate sites in the city. In Tel Aviv, interception debris fell into a wave pool at Begin Park. A structure was damaged in the nearby Moshav of Renatia, while vehicles were hit in Or Yehuda. Emergency responders had said no casualties were reported across all sites. The Israeli military's search and rescue forces are operating at several sites in central Israel, where reports of impacts have been received.
For weeks now, many around the world have questioned the motive of Israel and the United States behind launching the current war on Iran. Now, one of America's top intelligence officials has confirmed what skeptics had been saying all along. In a major embarrassment and blow to US President Donald Trump, the director of the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Joe Kent, has made a stunning exit from the cabinet in protest against the US's war on Iran. Kent, who is a US military veteran and also a former CIA officer, wrote a damning letter on Tuesday saying Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States. Remember, this was the pretext Trump used to wage the war on Iran. Kent has also strongly indicted Israel. The revelation comes at a time when Trump is already facing uncomfortable questions about the basis and the direction of his Iran campaign. In his resignation letter that has shocked the world, Joe Kent wrote, and I quote, "I cannot, in good conscience, support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. At a time when Trump and his cabinet are being accused of being totally directionless as to the end game of the war, Kent's revelation on Iran comes as a reminder of the deceit and mistake the US made 20 years ago when it invaded Iraq. While the US justified its Iraq invasion, claiming that the latter possessed weapons of mass destruction, it was later proven to be patently false." Kent's statement leaves no doubt about the fact that Trump had no concrete rationale for attacking Iran, and the war was launched without planning. Kent has argued that Trump was misled about the threat posed by Iran. He alleges that high-ranking Israeli officials and lobbyists goaded Trump to join the Middle East war, which has left 13 American soldiers dead so far. Remember, the US-Israel strikes on Tehran came in the midst of negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. The Trump administration was quick to dismiss Joe Kent's letter, saying the president had compelling evidence that Iran was indeed going to attack the US first. In fact, Trump claimed Kent was weak on the matter of security and that his exit was a good thing. Experts say this episode serves as an illustration of how Trump's actions go against the advice of the relevant military, intelligence, and foreign affairs experts in the government. Trump's top military advisor, General Dan Kane, had even fired a warning shot, citing risks to US troops in the Middle East and America's own strained weapon stockpile. But Trump dismissed those warnings and went to war anyway. Since day one of the war, Trump's explanations have been constantly shifting. His objectives have ranged from destroying Iran's nuclear program and preventing Iranian retaliation against Israel to regime change. Many have been arguing that it was Netanyahu who forced Trump's hand and dragged the United States into his war. In his letter, Joe Kent said the decision to go to war was shaped by an echo chamber involving Israeli officials and lobby groups. In fact, a week ago, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio acknowledged this fact, Speaking to the media, Rubio said Israel's determination to attack Iran and the certainty that US troops in the region would be targeted in retaliation forced Trump to order preemptive strikes. According to a report in the New York Times, the Israeli Prime Minister lobbied Trump for months to keep him on the path to war. Netanyahu was worried that negotiations between the US and Iran could undermine his plans.
President, your Director of National Counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you?
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it.
In the first major action in an effort to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the US military has said it has hit Iranian missile sites near the critical waterway with some of the most powerful bombs in the American arsenal, bunker buster bombs. The US Central Command has announced that it fired multiple 5,000-pound deep penetrator bombs on hardened Iranian missile sites along Iran's coastline near the strait. It added that the Iranian anti-ship cruise missiles in these sites posed a risk to international shipping in the strait. The bombing raid comes after Iran closed off the Strait of Hormuz, through which 1/5 of the world's oil supply flows, in retaliation for the war on the country by the US and Israel. The chokehold has massively disrupted maritime traffic and caused a global surge in energy prices. The move also comes after most US allies, including NATO, rejected President Donald Trump's calls to help secure the Strait of Hormuz to ease a blockade on the region's oil exports. Trump claims he's conducting the war for the good of the world, even if the world doesn't appreciate his efforts. He has been fuming that the US is not getting support, despite the fact that we helped NATO so much. That's how he put it. The bombs, called bunker busters, which according to an Air Force Times report cost an estimated $288,000 each, are still less powerful than the 30,000-pound bombs dropped by the United States against Iranian nuclear sites last year. These are used to strike targets which are hardened or buried deep.
The U.S. military has claimed a big strike on Iranian missile sites near the Strait of Hormuz. In an X-post, the U.S. military's Central Command said, and I quote, "Hours ago, U.S. forces successfully employed multiple 5,000-pound deep penetrator munitions on hardened Iranian missile sites along Iran's coastline near the Strait of Hormuz." The Iranian anti-ship cruise missiles in these sites posed a risk to international shipping in the strait. The U.S. military's strike comes hours after Donald Trump asked the American forces to make the damage permanent.
And we did, and it was very successful, and it continues. Frankly, as somebody said, they could leave today, and it would take 10 years to rebuild the damage that's been done. But I think we have to make it a little bit more permanent, because no other president has to go through this, and we shouldn't have any other president having to go through this kind of a thing. And if they didn't want to do it, if for some reason they didn't want to do it, we'd have the same problem. We don't ever want to have that problem again, not with lunatics. We can't have lunatics controlling nuclear weaponry. So I just want to thank everybody.
Earlier, Trump said NATO and most other allies rejected his calls to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. He fumed that the U.S. was not getting support despite the fact that Washington, D.C. helped NATO so much, and said that it was in allies' interest to prevent Iran from securing a nuclear weapon.
And there's been nothing close. Every problem, so many deaths, 90%. Well, I'm disappointed in NATO that we spend trillions of dollars on NATO.
Iran has unleashed massive retaliation against U.S. and Israeli forces in the Middle East. A senior Iranian intelligence official claimed that the United States has suffered over 3,200 casualties, including at least 200 personnel killed and more than 3,000 wounded since February 28th.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security is promoting its self-deportation scheme, which offers free flights and financial incentives to undocumented immigrants to leave the country. Offensively enough, the Taj Mahal in India features on the poster promoting this scheme, along with images from China and Colombia. The Trump administration is imposing curbs on legal migrants as well. In a post on X, the DHS offered flight tickets home along with a payout of $2,600 for those who choose to self-deport by reporting themselves through the Customs and Border Protections app. According to the department, the app allows applicants to begin the process by registering their intent to leave voluntarily, submitting their personal details and accessing information on travel assistance and financial incentives available under the program. The post featured posters of the Taj Mahal to advertise free flights to India for undocumented immigrants. The use of the Taj Mahal in India's Agra, a Mughal-era monument of love, is ironic as the Trump administration and the MAGA base have taken their campaign against immigration to the level of hate. Not just illegal immigrants, even Indian professionals on H-1B visas and green card holders have been facing increasing incidents of hate, racism and bigotry in the United States. In November last year, the then DHS Secretary Kristi Noem had claimed that 1.6 million self-deportations of undocumented immigrants have occurred since President Donald Trump assumed office. As Project Homecoming gains traction online, it has also ignited a fierce debate. Is this a pragmatic solution to a long-standing issue or a headline-grabbing move that blurs the line between policy and provocation? In a result that has surprised nobody, but certainly sparked a storm of humor online, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has secured a near-total victory in the 2026 so-called parliamentary elections, cementing his grip over the secretive state. According to official figures released by the regime, the vote for the 15th Supreme People's Assembly saw a 99.99% voter turnout, with 99.93% of the voters backing the ruling establishment. A figure that left the internet in splits and wondering who were the remaining 0.07% of the voters who did not vote for Kim Jong-un and his regime. And that tiny sliver of dissent has become the biggest headline of all. For the first time since 1957, the regime acknowledged no votes in an election, a move that analysts say may be aimed at projecting a thin veneer of legitimacy. But outside the country, the reactions have been explosive. Social media platforms erupted with biting satire, jokes and memes, with users calling the dissenters the bravest people alive, while others darkly predicted their fate. Memes flooded timelines, imagining a population drop of exactly 0.07%, and sarcastic tributes poured in for those who dared to tick the no box in a system where dissent is unthinkable. The so-called election followed the ruling party Congress, where Kim Jong-un tightened his control and doubled down on a hardline stance, particularly towards South Korea, now officially framed as a hostile state. Of course, to observers, this was never a real contest, but a choreographed show of power in one of the world's most opaque and dictatorial political systems. Ahead of the high-stakes Assam elections, senior Congress leader and sitting MP Pradyut Bordoloi has crossed over to the BJP, delivering a fresh blow to an already embattled Congress camp. The dramatic switch came just a day after Bordoloi quit the Congress. He joined the Saffron Party in the presence of Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma and State BJP Chief Dilip Sekia. Sarma hailed the move as a big boost, underlining Bordoloi's stature and hinting at the strategic advantage his entry brings, especially with 3 years still left in his parliamentary term. The defection is not an isolated tremor, but part of a deeper political churn shaking the Congress in Assam. Just weeks after, former state chief Bhupen Kumar Bora jumped ship to join the BJP, Bordoloi's exit has intensified the crisis within the party. His resignation letter to Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge spoke of sadness, but insiders point to mounting discontent over ticket distribution and internal friction. Even Priyanka Gandhi Vadra acknowledged the unrest, calling the situation unfortunate. Congress leaders attempted damage control, insisting that Bordoloi is still family, even as cracks within the organization are now out in the open. In fact, the crisis only deepened further with another key leader, Navyajyoti Talukdar, resigning from the Congress, citing frustration over poor coordination and unresolved concerns. As Assam gears up for a crucial electoral battle, the back-to-back exits have raised serious questions over Congress's unity and preparedness. With the BJP-led alliance aiming for a third straight term and the Congress struggling to keep its flock together, the political battlefield in Assam is certainly heating up.
Ahead of the upcoming Assam Assembly elections, Congress MP Pradyut Bordoloi has quit the party and joined the Bharatiya Janata Party in the presence of Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. Bordoloi said his resignation was due to multiple issues within the Congress and not just ticket allocation for the polls. He added that maintaining his dignity and principles was more important than staying on as an MP.
You have been told by the Honorable Chief Minister of Assam and in presence of the President of Assam BJP and my colleagues, I know them, we work together in the parliamentary different fora. And today, probably this is one of the most difficult decisions I have taken in my life. It has not been a pleasant step for me because I had to go through a lot. But then I have taken this step not to seek power, because you all know that I am on the second term of my Lok Sabha tenureship, and which would last another 3.5 years till 29. But I have decided to give up everything because I need an atmosphere where I can hold my head high and I get my opportunities to develop my personality further and to take Assam in the path of progress, in the path of development. And we should make Assam and an interest of the Assamese people. When I say Assamese, it is a broad-based Assamese concept. So we will take everybody in with us and we would like to excel and take, because we passed through a very tumultuous time, a very difficult times, conflict-ridden times, but we have come a long way and we want to consolidate the future of Assam further. That is my saying.
Reacting to the move, Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi Vadra called it unfortunate and suggested differences over ticket distribution may have played a role. The move has stirred reactions from other Congress leaders also.
It's very unfortunate, and I think he was upset over one ticket allocation, and I think that I wish that we had had a chance to have a conversation about it. It's unfortunate.
Friends from media, today the sitting MP from Nagaon, Sri Pradyut Bordoloi, has joined Bharatiya Janata Party. Our state president, Sri Dilip Sekia, has welcomed him to the fold of our party. As you know, Sri Pradyut Bordoloi is a senior MP, two-time MP from Nagaon Lok Sabha. He was former minister in Congress cabinet under Sri Tarun Gogoi, as well as he is a old congressman. His history with Congress goes back to 1975. So his joining in BJP will definitely strengthen our party. We'll be now more confident that we'll be able to translate collectively the vision of a Viksit Bharat, Viksit Assam of Sri Narendra Modi into reality.
Bordoloi also clarified that his decision will not affect his son, Pratik Bordoloi, who continues to contest from Margherita as a Congress candidate. With Assam heading toward crucial assembly elections, Bordoloi's move could reshape the political landscape, and all eyes are now on the constituencies where he might contest.
A controversy has erupted around actor Sara Ali Khan and her visits to the Himalayan shrines after the Badrinath Kedarnath Temple Committee laid down a shocking new condition. The temple body has announced that non-Hindus seeking entry into the revered Kedarnath temple or Badrinath temple would now have to submit a written affidavit declaring their faith in Sanatan Dharma. Chairman Hemant Dwivedi has said if Sara Ali Khan wishes to continue her visits to the temples, she must formally affirm her belief and devotion. The proposal, cleared unanimously and sent to the state government, comes just ahead of the Char Dham Yatra, a pilgrimage that draws lakhs of devotees every year. For Sara Ali Khan, whose personal connection to Kedarnath is both deeply emotional and spiritual, this development places her fate under public and procedural scrutiny. The controversy quickly snowballed, drawing reactions from across the political and entertainment spectrum. Actor-turned-BJP MP Kangana Ranaut weighed in, saying there should be no hesitation in declaring one's faith if it truly exists. The temple committee defended its move by invoking tradition, tracing the rule back to the time of Adi Shankaracharya and stressing the need to preserve the sanctity of the shrines. As questions of faith, identity and access collide, the controversy has reignited a larger national conversation where devotion meets doctrine and where personal belief is now being asked to stand the test of formal declaration. That's all the time we have on this edition of Headlines at 8. Thanks for watching. Do join us again at the same time tomorrow.